So, Mike, what adventures have you got, personal adventures have you got on the horizon, and what other, I'm sure a lot of other sporting bodies and individuals are after your services. Who else are you going to be helping out?
You know, being a South African, you know, I would like to stay close to home, and Gary has asked me if I would be interested in doing the Protea campaign in Australia with ODIs again. And yes, I agreed on doing part of that. So that's going to be quite exciting next year. It's, I think, in beginning of the year, in about 80 days' time. And then I'll be doing a documentary called The Most Difficult Commute. And that will basically be leaving Switzerland and driving to K2 through Iraq and Iran, and then try and go to work, try and climb K2. And then once you reach the summit, walk back and drive back home. So that will be done in May, June, July. And September, that's when I'll leave on, I think one of my big dreams was really to go around the world via the two poles. And it hasn't been accomplished until today. And I have the boat to go down to Antarctica. I have a little bit of the knowledge of the South Pole because in 2008 I sailed down to Antarctica and I managed to go to the South Pole and back. And then I did in 2006, I did the North Pole winter expedition. So I've accumulated all the bits of pieces of the puzzle that I can put together now to really to have a serious attempt on going around the world via the two poles. So it would be an expedition that I would leave from Europe and hopefully in 360 days later, in 1 year, go right around the world 360 degrees and get back to my starting point. So I'm all in preparation with that, and then obviously just try and do as much as I possibly can still with some of the environmental programs we have around the world and the youth that I've taken along with me the past 5 years. And it's a big problem because life only has 30,000 days. And when you get to 82 years old and your 30,000 days kind of reaches the end, you always want more days to do more things. And I'm just trying to cram in as much as I can at this stage. And then after, when I get back in 2016, you know, why not go to the moon?
You're not going to be landing on any comets anytime soon, though.
You know, there's a possibility. You never know. But it's a 4-year trip up to Mars. So you know, with the age problems as well today, it's going to take you 8 years just to get to Mars and back. It is a possibility. I've done a little bit of simulator flights, and I think it is the new frontier in adventure. And then,
but your body and everything's still in good condition. I mean, how much longer do you think you can push yourself for?
You know, I think what's quite important as an adult, when you reach 30 years old, or 30 years young, as we would say, not to grow up, to believe you stay 30 years old, but you might believe it, but the body cannot cope with the demand. And this year, in May, I climbed Makalu. It's the 5th highest mountain in the world, and that massive accident in Everest where 17 Sherpas died in the Khumbu icefall going through the Khumbu, and they were setting up the fixed rope, and most of the climbers came over the mountains to come and climb on Makalu because Everest and Lhotse was closed to climbing, and they came to Makalu, and I just felt that it would be a season of disaster as well. And there was a French climber with me and this young Swiss climber that the day we decided to go to the summit, we do the non-stop climb from base camp without oxygen and without Sherpas to the summit, and we kind of lost him at 7,800 meters in altitude when you only get to that 7% oxygen, and you're kind of going in and out of consciousness the whole time, and you kind of forget where you are, and you get the summit fever that you just want to go to the summit, and it's very difficult to make a U-turn. Eventually got to the summit about 3 hours later than my young climbing partner, and that's when I realized that, listen, my body is not the same as it was, especially high up in altitude where you have very little oxygen, where obviously the experience and the motivation drives you to the top. That motivation can be the same motivation that can actually kill you as well. And to be able to control those emotions as you become weaker because of age, but you still have the mind of that 30-year-old explorer, adventurer that wants to push his limits, is difficult to control. And on the way back, unfortunately, the French guy died of a cerebral edema, and he didn't make it back down. And then you realize as well that there's a time for everything, and you know, nothing is worth dying for. And if you can stay alive, then you've been successful. But the moment you die doing what you love doing, it means you've actually gone too far. And I would like to just become old and live happily as an old man and not die before I become too old.
Fair enough.